Hey guys, welcome to this live session by Intellipaat. And in this session, we'll be learning how exactly to start off and learn with Azure. So let me give you a brief introduction first about what we are going to learn in this session, and then let's proceed with it. Okay, so first, let us look at the agenda. We'll first look at what exactly is Azure. I'll give you a brief introduction about it, and then we'll check out why should we use Azure. There are various cloud providers, there are various different tools. Why should we use Azure? And then basic service domains, we'll just go through them and we'll look at the future of Azure, as well as then we'll move on to how exactly to learn or start off with Azure. And once you have a basic idea how to further up and how to upgrade yourself in Azure, we'll see all of this in this session. Let's get started. So what is Azure? So first of all, Azure is a cloud provider. So now you will have a question of what exactly is a cloud provider. To be very simple, cloud provider is so let's say cloud computing is a technology where you provide services, infrastructural services, like providing a server, providing storage, providing database engines over the internet to the consumers. So this is basically the cloud computing technology. To be very, very simple, it is someone else's computer which you are using through internet. So a cloud provider is a company which provides the cloud computing services. So if you understand what exactly are cloud computing services, then you can get what exactly is a cloud provider. So now I've explained you what is a cloud computing service, because a cloud computing service is a service which is provided through the internet. It can be any kind of service. Even Gmail is a cloud service, because you do not know where exactly is Gmail hosted, where exactly is Gmail's code running, but you get the application on your browser. So that's how it works. Cloud is not your system or your server or your application. You ask for it, they give it to you, you pay for what you use. That's it. So Microsoft Azure is one of the leading cloud providers. So that's why you're talking about them. Obviously, if Azure is not that popular, nobody is going to talk about it. So now let's move ahead. So let's discuss the story of an entrepreneur. Okay, so now there is a guy, he has an idea of an application. Let's consider it's a food delivery or a booking application. So now he codes all night and creates the application. He creates a mobile as well as a web application. So let's consider he has created a website where you can basically book a hotel, or you can book you can book a table, or you can deliver or order some food. So he has created it completely. Now he does so he thinks of the application where exactly to host it. Now he gets confused, because buying servers and then configuring them, installing softwares, uploading the code, making changes regularly, managing and monitoring them, he's thinking all of this, and he got so frustrated because these buying servers and configuring them needs a lot of time as well as money. So this person does not have a money, because he's a single person who basically has created the application on his own, because creating an application doesn't cost you any money. You create your application on your system. Once that is done, he's confused where exactly to host it, how to get the IT needs. So then someone introduces him to Microsoft Azure, or cloud computing as a whole. So once he is introduced to cloud computing, now he gets an idea about it. Then he goes ahead and hosts his application on Microsoft Azure. So why does he host on Microsoft Azure? So he has done his research, and once he has done, he gets to know that you can rent servers using Microsoft Azure. You can run database engines on the Azure cloud, which is much cheaper than buying a server and maintaining it. So obviously when he does that, he is going to save a lot of money, and also his company starts growing and he's successful. So now there is one more benefit of using Azure. Now let's say this person has hosted his application on one server with one database. So he's right now his application is quite small. So once his application is starting to getting traction, it's basically catching up eyes. A lot of people are visiting his website. He's getting a lot of traffic. So once that happens, obviously he will need more servers, and if there is a lot of data coming in, he needs a lot of storage as well as databases. So he can basically scale them up. He can scale the servers as well as databases or any service on the Azure cloud as much as he needs. He can scale it up, and when the traffic decreases, let's say on a Monday it is very high, on a Tuesday it is very low. So if it is low, Azure automatically detects it and reduces the servers and database engines according to it. So obviously this will help cost optimizing your servers, your IT infrastructure. You cannot do this with an on-premise setup. So let's say you have bought 10 servers. So now even if your application is not doing that well, that 10 servers are going to sit there ideally, and you'll have to monitor and manage them. So let's say if you're doing the same thing on Azure, you have taken up 10 servers, but right now all the 10 servers are being used. Now suddenly your application's traffic goes by half and 5 servers are not needed. If it is on premises, if it is an on-premise setup, those 5 servers will still be there, but as it is an Azure cloud, as you can scale down, Azure automatically reduces 5 servers and it gives you only 5 servers at that particular time. So you only pay for the time you use services. So if this happens, that is, let's say for 1 hour 5 servers are running, the next hour only 3 are running, and the next hour there are 10 running. So this will obviously cost optimize your application, and this will be very helpful for anyone. It may be a company, it may be a single entrepreneur. So this is the basic story, and I think you would have got an idea of how exactly you can start off with and use Azure. If you have an application, you can host it directly there. It costs lesser than buying a server and configuring it. So moving ahead, also IT before cloud and IT after cloud. So first let us look at this. Obviously after buying servers, you'll have to maintain them, and the expenditure will increase whenever you buy more servers, because if you buy more servers, obviously one day there will be less traffic and some servers will be ideal, and still you will be paying for that. As well as you'll have to pay for security professionals, because if it is you are hosting your own servers, they have to be secure, or hackers can get unauthorized access and they can access the data or the code. And then obviously that will increase in expenditure because you'll be hiring more security professionals. And after that, data privacy and security, again I was saying, if it is your own servers, it'll be poor because you will be hiring 1 or 2 security professionals. Okay, so I'll come to that point, but Microsoft Azure has 3000 plus security professionals working across their availability zones. So you can think of the quality of the security engineers who they are going to hire in Microsoft versus you. Now, scalability and flexibility. So as I explained you the story, you can easily scale up and down according to your needs, according to the traffic of your application. And also you can stop, start, terminate it. You can vertically scale it, horizontally scale it whenever you want. It is completely flexible. But you cannot easily sell a server and buy a new server, because obviously when you buy a server, the value of the server will decrease, but not in Azure because it is completely virtualized. Now after the cloud, so let's say I've shifted from my on-premise setup to the cloud. Data privacy and security is better because they have better security professionals as well as a great network architecture. No maintenance worries. They take care of all patching up, upgrading, maintenance jobs. Faster data recovery. So let's say you have 10 servers, all the data is stored in them. If there is a disaster and those servers got, let's say they are destroyed, then you'll not be able to recover them back easily unless you have stored it in some cloud storage. So if your servers are also on the cloud as well as your data is also stored on the cloud, it will be easier for you to recover them. And then scale dynamically, we've discussed it multiple times, and reduced costs. Obviously it will be lesser than buying servers as an on-premise setup. It will be cheaper than that. So now let's just look at some Azure facts. So companies like BMW, Samsung and Expedia, even eBay uses Azure for their hosting needs. So I'm pretty sure you guys know BMW and Samsung. So if these companies trust Azure, I think you can also trust Azure and host your application on it. Now Azure provides 100 plus different cloud services. There are literally many services you cannot handle to learn. So the services are getting increased every single year. So it's not that you should know all the 100 services. You should know the services which is required for you to know. So that's fine. Now on average, you can see here 7 million online videos are watched. Cortana has asked 100,000 questions. So all of these are hosted on Azure. Even people buy from Flipkart as well, $222,000 worth of items from Flipkart. So all of these websites are hosted on Azure. And Azure is the second largest cloud provider in the world, only after AWS. But AWS already had a head start. They started off with the cloud business in 2002, and they were officially the first, let's say, they started off in 2002, then they launched their first two cloud services in 2006, which is EC2 and S3. So now Azure launched at 2010, and right now they are the second largest, even though AWS had a 4-year head start. And now Azure spans across 56 geographic regions, and so basically Azure has the most regions and data centers than AWS as well, than GCP as well. Azure is the biggest, like it has the largest cloud network in the world. So these are the facts of Azure. Moving ahead, these are some other cloud providers: AWS, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud, and VMware. So AWS is Amazon's, that is Amazon Web Services, the #1 cloud provider. Then comes Azure, then comes Google Cloud, then comes Alibaba Cloud, and then comes the IBM, VMware, and there are Rackspace. There are so many different cloud providers. So right now, let's just concentrate on Azure. Okay, so now why should you use Azure? First of all, Azure revolutionized the IT industry by introducing per-minute cloud compute services. So obviously, AWS came first. They released their services before any other cloud provider, which revolutionized the IT industry in the way of using servers. But still, those services were billed per hour. So let's say you're just using a server for 2 minutes, still you will get charged for 60 minutes. But in Azure, it's not the case. If you're using a server for 2 minutes, you will only get charged for that 2 minutes, and they started it off first. And that is the biggest thing which they did at the beginning itself. And as I told you, simple and per hour billing as well as there, Microsoft's brand name, and easy profile setup. So to start off with Azure, it doesn't take more than 15 minutes. You can just get started off by filling in your details. And Microsoft's brand name, I'm pretty sure most of you right now, or if you're watching in a computer, you might be having a Windows 10 operating system, and that is Microsoft's. So you would know Microsoft. So obviously Microsoft's brand name comes in here because that makes it Azure even bigger. Now, Amazon leads the race to the cloud, but even though AWS has a 4-year head start, Microsoft are growing at a rate that soon in 10 to 15 years, they'll catch up with AWS or even go past AWS, because that's the rate they're growing in. And you can see the worldwide cloud infrastructure service revenue is 23 billion in Q2 of 2019. Okay, so now there is Google, and the third place, even Google is growing fast. Then IBM, Alibaba Cloud, Salesforce, and Oracle. Now let's just come to Microsoft Azure right now. So Microsoft Azure is growing, I think it's growing like 3% faster than AWS. And obviously, if you calculate, if that growth is steady, they will soon beat AWS. And Microsoft Azure, again, 95% of the Fortune 500 companies have at least using one service from Microsoft Azure. That is the reach of Azure. Okay, so now we saw a lot of facts. We saw why to use Azure. We saw what exactly is Azure as well. Now let us look at some service domains which Azure provides to its users. Okay, now compute, database, storage, migration and transfer, customer engagement, security, identity and compliance, management and governance, and networking and content delivery. So first of all, coming to compute. Compute is basically providing a server, providing storage, and all this. Storage is a different thing, but in compute, let's say when you're launching a server, obviously without storage, you cannot launch a server, because the operating system needs to store its configuration file somewhere. So let's say compute, you will be given a virtualized server in which you have the complete ability to install, download anything. You can host your applications. It is given to you and you can do anything in that server. So this is the basic example I'm giving to you. There are a lot more to go ahead to learn in compute. Then database, they give an online database which is hosted on the Azure data center. Storage, they give different types of storages. They give you document storage, they give you table storage, they give you blob storage. Blob storage is basically any binary files like music files or video files or any kind of files can be uploaded over there. And then table storage is JSON type of storage. You can just upload a JSON file and it will be stored in a JSON format. And then migration and transfer. So if you're having a virtual machine in your local system, Azure has services to get the same local virtual machine to be running on the Azure cloud network. So for that, they have migration services. You can use them. Customer engagement, there are some tools which you can use to chat with customers. There are other services as well. Then security, identity and compliance. You have access management. You have key services and certificate services. All of these services provide you security benefits and management and governance. So Azure provides a monitoring tool as well as a management tool, a billing tool, everything to you for free, and you can use them. So let's say you are having servers, you're having databases, storage, you're also migrating some data. So for this to manage them, you can use a single tool in Azure. And then finally, networking and content delivery. So talking about compute, databases and storage, obviously they should, let's say the compute server should be coming again. So let's say there is a server that is a compute service. You have a server and then you have a database. Now the server wants to communicate with this database to query some information from it. So to communicate between these two, the communication between these two should be enabled. So to enable that, they should be in the same network or they should be in multiple networks which have communication ability. So for that, you have networking. You can create virtual networks, which are basically sub networks inside the cloud, which will isolate your resources from other resources. And then content delivery, you have CDN as well. You can upload videos. You can create your own streaming platform as well if you want to. Okay, we've seen that. Moving ahead, now coming to the point of how to learn Azure. So there are various ways you can start off with it. You can go ahead with YouTube, you can go ahead with blogs, you can go ahead with written tutorials, you can also take up an online training. So there are various ways. So first of all, we Intellipaat provide you a lot of courses for free on YouTube. We have an 8-hour course, we have 2-3-hour courses, and these courses contain information from scratch to advanced levels, and you can just go ahead and start learning Azure straight off from our YouTube channel. You don't need to go elsewhere. You can just go ahead to YouTube and you can start off learning Azure. And you can basically start off learning Azure from this live. So I've already explained you what is Azure, how does cloud work, the benefits and the disadvantages of using on-premise. So you at least have a little knowledge about Azure right now. You can just go ahead, click on the first video on this page, and you can just start off with it. I mean, you cannot click on the screen right now because we've not linked it. You'll have to just type in Microsoft Azure training and you'll get it. So first, YouTube. So YouTube provides you, YouTube gives you free course content. You can just go ahead with it. Second, we have a blog and a tutorial, and they are very informative. We have technical writers. They give you amazing blogs and you can start studying from it. If you're more of a reading person, you can just go ahead and start off with the blogs. And then there is Azure free tier to get started with Azure. Let's say you're learning Azure, but you don't have anything to do hands-ons on. So you can basically create a free account in Azure. That free account will give you a lot of benefits. It gives you some free services. Second, it gives you 1 month of free usage worth $100 and also multiple free trials. So giving you a basic idea of what kind of services which you can get for free. First, you can get virtual machines for free, which is a compute service. Then you can get databases for free, SQL database. You can get 250 GB of storage for free. in Azure. So if you're having an application which is hosted and it is a small application, you can just use the SQL database from Azure for free completely. I don't think so. The data which you get would be more than 250 GB if it is a very small application. And then there is blob storage, there is file storage, and there is Linux and Windows virtual machines. If you are a Linux person, you can go ahead and launch a Linux virtual machine, or if you want a Windows virtual machine, you can do that as well. And these all take just a matter of minutes or 2 minutes, so you can just start off with it. So first, create an Azure account, get your free trial, and start off by practicing it. So to start off by practicing it, that's what I was saying. Once you got your account, just go ahead, go to Microsoft Azure training, the first video, which is of 9 hours, and get started with Azure. So now, once you have a basic idea, once you have learned from YouTube, once you have read a lot of blogs, once you have enough knowledge about Azure, you can go ahead and give the exam. So let us discuss about these from the official site. Okay, so this is the official site. And so you can see here, find an Azure certification exam. So there are various certification exams. Let us concentrate on administrator, architect, and then what else? Developing solutions, and also this. So we'll concentrate on these 4 because these are the most common and the most popular certifications taken up by users. So you can see administrator, basically he is an administrator, IT administrator, but he administers the servers which is running on the cloud. I'll open this, and then 300 and 301, these are the most popular certifications. So these certifications are for Azure Architects, Azure Solutions Architect, and this directly takes you to an expert level in Azure. And then there is developing solutions for Microsoft Azure. So first let me open administrator and explain it to you. And okay, everything is over here, so I don't need to open another one. So this exam for Azure administrator role, so candidates for this exam are Azure administrator who manage cloud services that span storage, security, networking, and compute cloud capabilities. So as an Azure administrator, you just have to learn the services under storage, security, networking, and compute. You don't need to go out of that. And also you should know how to monitor these services. So if you know these services, you can give the Azure administrator exam and clear it off. And then and developing solutions for Microsoft Azure. So you can see here, they participate in all phases of development, from solution design to development and deployment, testing, and maintenance. So developing solutions for Microsoft Azure are basically software engineers who develop applications which eventually be hosted on Microsoft Azure. So that's what developing solutions for Microsoft Azure means. So you can become an Azure developer as well. And finally, coming to Azure AZ 300 and 301. So these exams have to be given together. So this is for Azure Architect Technologies, and this is for Azure Architect Design. You can see here Microsoft Certified Azure Solutions Architect Expert, Azure Solutions Architect Associate. If you have only given this exam, you will be an associate level architect. If you have given both of these exams, because usually everyone takes AZ300 and AZ301 together. So if you have taken both of these exams together and cleared it, you will become an Azure Solutions Architect Expert. So now let's talk about this more. And you can see here candidates for this exam are Azure Solutions Architects who advise stakeholders and translate business requirements into secure, scalable, and reliable solutions. So let me give you a simple example. Let's say you have a company which provides Azure solutions around. So a customer comes in and he's saying, I have this application. I want this application to be hosted in these servers, in these configurations, in these specifications. So what do? You analyze that and you create an architecture which is secure, safe, scalable, and reliable, and also that application should be highly available for them. So you might not have got this point. So basically this website should be available whenever you type in the domain name. So you should create an architecture which helps the application sustain. It should be always available. It should not crash. It should be scaling automatically. So that's why I meant this should not crash. Okay. Now coming to the slides once again. So I was explaining about these three roles. I forgot about Azure DevOps Engineer Expert. So once you've completed either the administrator or the developer role, even a solutions architect role, you can still become a DevOps engineer. But to become a DevOps engineer, you should not just know Azure Services. You should also know the DevOps tools. First, you should understand the DevOps methodology. We are not going to go deep into that. We'll look at that in another session. So now, first of all, you should know the DevOps methodologies, and you should also learn the DevOps tools which are used in your organization. There are not like a set of DevOps tools. There are various kinds of DevOps tools, but to be simple, you can start learning Git. First of all, Git is very helpful. Obviously, GitHub is very helpful for hosting your application's code. It is a version control tool. So once you've done Azure, once you have gained enough experience in that, you can also take up the Azure DevOps Engineer Expert exam and clear it and get certified. So we've seen the we've seen the certification path. Now, to clear these exams, obviously you will need some kind of guidance. Even though you learn by yourself, you will not be able to cover all the topics in a clear way. So to do that, we've come up with an online training. Let me go to the course page. Let me show you all the trainings we provide first. Okay, now coming to Azure, you can see Azure Architect, Azure Admin, Azure DevOps, Azure Solutions Architect, and Azure Developer Associate. So let's ignore this. This is a particular service. We'll just look at these. So Azure Architect, we provide you all 5 courses which you see over here. This is Azure Architect. We also provide a DevOps course. Now coming to the main part, which is Azure Solutions Architect, because I think most of you would prefer a Solutions Architect role than a Developer Associate or an Azure Admin. So coming here, this will mostly cover these concepts as well, the developer and administrator concepts. So let's look at the key features. You get 28 hours of instructor-led training. You get 22 hours of pre-recorded training. So in an instructor-led training, you get the benefit of asking doubts then and there from an industry professional who has real life experience on working in Azure. So he can provide you a lot of examples which they have done. They are working professionals in another company who is using Azure, so they'll be able to give you a lot of real world examples. And we also provide exercises and project work worth 56 hours, and then you can get certified once you've completed the course successfully. And once you've completed the course successfully, we provide you job assistance as well. Now you also have a lifetime free upgrade. Lifetime free upgrade in the sense, if you have bought this course, if this course is updated, you can come back and take this course once again if you want to. We also provide support which is 24/7 open. You can ask your questions at any time and you can get it checked and you can get it solved. Now let's just look at what we'll be teaching in this. Planning and designing Azure architecture or infrastructure, securing of Azure resources, developing advanced applications, governance. So these are the contents which we will learn in this particular course. You'll have an introduction to cloud and Azure. First, we'll teach you storage, then we'll go ahead with virtual machines, virtual networks, managing traffic and connectivity means scaling up, elastic load balancing and all. And then this is for security. This is to create and deploy applications. So you can see here Azure App Services. And then we'll also teach more monitoring services, migration services. You can see AWS Migrate. And then finally, we'll also teach you NoSQL databases, Cosmos DB. We also teach you SQL databases as well. And once we've done teaching you all of these concepts, we also have a complete project which you can work on and put up on your resume. So we have this project which is building a Python and a PostgreSQL application in Azure App Service and then configure it on a Docker container. So these are the steps, and this is the project which you will be doing if you take up this course. If you take up this course, we have partnered with, so you can see here, we are in collaboration with Microsoft. We have partnered up with Microsoft. You will get a certificate with the Microsoft logo as well as a signature from Satya Nadella. So you can see that over here. Yeah, so if you take up this, obviously it is a great opportunity for you. Microsoft certificate, you get a Microsoft certificate as well as an Intellipaat certificate. Also you get job assistance, and also you can clear your AZ 300 and 301 exams. Okay guys, so I think we've come to the end of this session. Let me get back. Okay, also guys who are watching this session right now, if you want to take up any course on our website right now, you can just go ahead and use the code YouTube30 and get an instant 30% off. So use it right now, get benefited. So we've come to the end of this session. I hope you understood a lot from this session. You got a lot of information out of it. We'll meet you in another session. Thank you.